Hi, I'm Gloria, and I'm making this video to show you how I passed my project management professional certificate with more or less 1 week of study only. So stay tuned and let's see how I did it. So as most of you, I work full-time. I'm actually pursuing my PhD, and I needed to fit studying to the PMP and actually getting prepared for the certification within my hectic life. So I hope this video is for you, a fellow project manager who also is trying to get certified, and then I hope I can inspire you to also get it in your first attempt. I'm actually a senior project management in one of the biggest tech companies in the world. I'm currently pursuing my PhD, but I also have an MBA in project management and agile methodologies, and I have been working in the industry since 2018. And I have a small addiction to mugs, so I wanted to show you my mug of the day. So today I'm using this mug. See, it's me, as if I were in Naruto. A friend of mine designed it and I just love it so much. So let's go to the video. So I prepared a small agenda for us today. Basically, I'm going to give some first thoughts, first things that you may want to know to figure yourself like, is this video for me, right? So then some disclaimers that I think are very important for you to situate yourself within the video. Then I'm going to explain why the PMP, why the project management professional certification, why it is important. Then how did I study? How did I go about studying for the PMP? Then I'm going to share with you my exam day experience, which is pretty fresh because it was just a few weeks ago, and some reflections that I think are important, honestly, for anything you're trying to achieve. First things first, if you're here, you already know what is the PMP certification and you are interested in getting it. This video is for people who already know what is certification, okay? And you may be like, okay, Gloria, but how did you study only 1 week and got into the certification? Is that a scam? No, guys, honestly, I only studied 1 week. Another thing that's important is that usually for this exam, once you or your company, in this case, it was my company, purchased the exam for you, you have 12 months to go about doing it. So actually got my 12 months, then I got a 3 months extension, then I got another 1 month extension. And so I literally, I left it for the last possible time. Basically, I had been already a full-time project manager in the big tech company that I worked for 3 years when I'm out doing this exam. And so I wanted to tell you, if you want to get into project management, you perfectionist little person who waits to have everything figured out before doing stuff, like, no, don't do that. Just go and get your project management career started already. Actually, you will see that you have a lot of prerequisites to do the exam. And one of the prerequisites is to have project management experience. So even if you start managing projects like in a volunteer basis in your own community, or you actually get a full-time job, remember, you don't need this certification for you to become a project manager, okay? So I was a project manager already in my company for 3 years before I attempted the exam. And in this video, I'm going to show you how in 1 week, I got the exam mindset so I could go about doing the exam. Because one thing you will notice is that the PMP exam is not a regular exam. It's actually a scenario-based questions exam. So all the questions are real life scenarios where you should choose the most appropriate answers to the question. So a lot of the times what I saw is that all the answers were correct, but I was supposed to choose the most appropriate answer according to the PMI mindset, which a lot of times does marry with our everyday lives. But honestly, during the exam, some things I was like, okay, I know PMI wants me to put A, but I would put B, because of the way companies work and our day-to-day lives, What I mean is that our daily lives, our daily work is not as pristine as the scenario-based questions in a PMP exam. So get your exam mindset ready. Okay, here comes our disclaimers part, okay? Student, fresh out of college, right? Lots of theory, not lots of experience. This video is not for you. Also, if you are someone who came from a completely different field, architecture, engineering, whatever, finance, whatever is your field, and you came about actually needing to know the project management, the principles and methods and frameworks and tools for your daily job or even for your life, this is also not the exam preparation you need, okay? Here I'm talking to people who are already experienced in project management. So please check all these words that should be popping up in the screen right now. Maybe here, okay? If you don't know what half of these words mean, probably you need to study to do the exam. Please do study for months, even years, because why I and a lot of people do not need months of preparation before successfully taking an exam like that is because we already have been studying. I have been studying project management since I discovered that this was a thing, thank you to Chris Groff, in 2020, right? When I started managing my first projects when I was an intern in the company that I work for right now. And then I did a full MBA on it. I have been working full-time on it for 2 years. So of course, I have this gut feeling while doing the exam or what should work or not in a project scenario. And at the same time, I have the knowledge of this specific terminology that we use as project managers that also appears in the exam. So in case you're either a student or coming from another field of study, please go study, like really study the PMBOK, the project management principles, the project management golden triangle, all those great things that we have. Honestly, a lot of the information is online. You can also do a course. If I am not mistaken, you do need a course for you to get your PMP exam. You need around 35 hours, if I am not mistaken, of formal project management training for you to go about being eligible to do your PMP exam. So go there, get your hours, understand what project management is. Then once you do that, you can go back to this video and use 1 week to prep to your exam, okay? If you are a very well experienced project manager, but you are working in industries that use a waterfall or classic method to go about project management, you probably will need to study for this test. I was honestly shocked when I was doing my test. I took notes here, like around 30% of the exam is basically leadership stuff. Then 20% of the exam were standard or hybrid scenarios on project management. And all the rest, around half of the exam, were focused not only on project management agile aspects, but very focused on the IT industry. And I mean development of softwares and products and stuff like that. If you do not come from the IT industry, I would highly recommend that you actually study the IT industry agile mindset before going through this project. And just to assess your knowledge, here's a lot of words that we use in the industry, here floating the screen. Thanks, Boo, who's my editor. If you don't know any of this stuff, maybe you should check this out before doing the exam. I really was a senior project management professional in a big tech company doing a job that I love. Why did I go about doing this PMP exam? Actually, my company bought the exam to me as part of the prize that I won. Let me show you. Isn't this beautiful? Isn't she gorgeous? It's transparent. I won actually the GFA Agility Awards of 2023. This was the best agile project in the year for the whole organization. I was competing with around 30,000 colleagues. Like, your girl is good. I'm telling you, like, listen to me. I actually won the exam. It is a fairly expensive exam, even more expensive if you are like me and you live in Brazil and you receive not in dollars and not in euros, in reais, which is like 6 to 1 right now, and that's really sad. So basically, the exam can be very expensive. I do recommend if your company can afford it to you, go for it, much better. And so why did I go about doing the exam? Honestly, I thought I did got 2 jobs within my company without having the formal exam. In pretty much all the vacancies that I have applied in the past, it was there. Either PMP exam needed or a strong recommendation for having the PMP exam. And honestly, when we are hiring people, we usually want to save energy. I don't know if you have been in the other side of a hiring process before, but it's very mind consuming. Like, your prefrontal cortex is exploding because you need to make a decision. Usually you are with a lot of work on your shoulders. That's why you need an extra headcount, and you have a lot of pressure. HR puts you pressure on time. Your manager can be putting you pressure on having this new headcount. The whole team can be pressured because we're all working extra hours. And so we are already consuming so much of our prefrontal cortex, that's the part of our brain that helps us make decisions, that whatever you, or me in this case, as a candidate can do to facilitate the decision of the employee on hiring you, you should do it. And any certification, but mostly for project managers, like the certification is the project management professional. This is just something that is helping your employer to see, hey, there's a piece of paper here here, or there's this piece of paper here, right, that proves, at least is helping me prove that this person actually has the knowledge that I need to be efficient in this role. And another just small thing that I should add, if you do not have a master's or an MBA yet as a project manager, that's also a thing that employers look a lot, at least in the IT industry, okay? Now you already know who I am. You already know why did I do the PMP exam. You know my disclaimers of who this video is about. And okay, how did I study? How did I get ready now for this exam with only 1 week? And honestly, the first thing that I did was a thing that us project managers do a lot before starting a project. I went to the lessons learned. And where did I find my lessons learned? On the internet, of a lot of other people who have already successfully taken this exam and took a very short amount of time of preparation. So I'm linking 2 videos here down below of 2 people that I watched to get this PMP exam mindset ready. And of course, there's tons on YouTube and on the internet. Just go check them out. I really recommend that you do your benchmarking before starting your studies. In these videos that I did, sort of a benchmarking on how to prep to the exam, a guy actually suggested videos from Ricardo, and he was my professor during my MBA. So I was really excited that he had a YouTube channel. I had no idea. And honestly, his channel is great. You should check it out. And I watched 2 of his videos that were really important for me to understand the PMBOK. And those videos were PMBOK 6th edition processes explained and PMBOK 7th edition processes explained. They are available in English and Portuguese because Ricardo is also Brazilian. And I watched the videos in English because I was taking my exam in English. And also he created this very nice diagram thing, 1-pager, and it has available in like 10 different languages. So you should definitely check it out, even if it is only to take the cheat sheet that he created, so you can have it in your own language. Another guy that actually helped me a lot was David McLachlan. I don't know if I'm pronouncing it right. He has around 100,000 subscribers, and his channel is all focused on project management and honestly the PMP and the other types of exams you can get from the Project Management Institute, PMI. So David's videos that helped me the most to pass were 2 of his videos. The PMP Fast Track, that's a around 30-minute video that he goes through his own methodology on how to pass the PMP exam, and also his other video of passing the PMP exam with no study. All the videos that I'm quoting are here down below in the description, and you can go check them out. They're all on YouTube, all free, all in English. And then after I watched these videos, I felt like I was ready to start my planning. So as a good project manager, I planned what I was going to do for study. And since I already knew a lot of project management knowledge, like I felt like I didn't have to go about reading the PMBOK. I never read the PMBOK. Don't let people know. I'll do it one day, I hope. So I went about how would I do the exam? Because in all those videos, people were talking about the PMI mindset. And so the thing that I thought was the most valuable is that my company actually bought to me the PMP exam mock test from PMI. And this is the material that I use the most for study. Basically what I did is I did around 180 questions in this material. And basically I didn't do it all at once. That's very tiring. I did 30 questions, then 30 questions, then 30 questions. I was hoping to do it every day. Of course I did not, but there was like one day that I did 120 questions, and that made up for the other days that I lagged a little bit behind. And while I was doing these questions, I was taking notes. Here you can see what I looked online. I don't know if this is accurate, but what I looked online is that I needed around 61% of right answers to pass the PMP exam, okay? I don't know if this is 100% accurate, but I feel it's more or less. And so what I did is I was doing like 30 questions, 30 questions, 30 questions, and I was taking note on how many mistakes I made. And you can see like the first time that I attempted to do it, actually only got 57% right. Then after doing these 30 questions, what I would do is I took notes of each of the words I did not know, each of the things I never heard before, because there was some like disciplined agile. And you can say, but Gloria, you're an IT project manager. How did you not know what disciplined agile is? Guys, I was applying it. I just didn't know it was called disciplined agile. Like if you are an IT project manager, probably you know that according to project, you should to adapt your approach, either hybrid or agile, to the multiple frameworks and tools that we have available. And that's basically disciplined agile. And it helps you scale a little bit. So I was already doing it. I just didn't know it was called this way. There was a lot of other words that I had no idea. I'm going to just pass now like the screen of my notebook with my notes. Some notes are in Portuguese, some are in English, sorry for that. But you can see it was around 20-something things that were written there in these mock exams that I did not know what those things were. I didn't know what it meant to crash a schedule. That's basically redoing your schedule. But then imagine you're doing a test and it's written there, crash the schedule. I'm like, what does this mean, you know? And even if you are not an English native speaker, as I am not, probably it's even harder. So just do it this way, at least if you want to prepare like I did. I was doing mock tests. On the third attempt that I did of 30 questions, I was already getting over 70%. And that's the average that I got. I think one, I did over 80%. And then I knew I would be ready for the exam day. On doing these exams, the most important thing that I can tell you is you need to get into the PMI mindset, what the Project Management Institute wants you to answer, because they want you to give the best answer. So it's not an easy exam in the meaning that in some questions, all 4 options were right. All 4 options were ways of going about the exam. And so I really needed to think, okay, what the PMI want me to do. One thing that the PMI does not want you to do usually is to like pass your work to another person. To check all the PMP fast track examples, I would highly recommend for you to go to David's video, okay? There, he is going to explain to you perfectly what's the PMI mindset. But basically, there's a few no's there that you need to be aware when doing the exam. On David's video, basically, what he's going to tell you that there are 6 things that you need to be aware of for you to pass your PMP exam. And basically, the 6 things are don't hire, don't fire, don't ask for money, don't ask for help. That he then changes to do not escalate the problem. Like you should be the one to solve the problem, not HR or your stakeholder or your boss or your team, right? Don't do nothing and don't make somebody else do your job. That's basically the same as don't ask for help. With this mindset, you're going to notice that maybe that's not 100% relatable to your company. For example, in the project I used to work on data protection projects and programs. When we had a problem, I had to let my stakeholder know. Like my main stakeholder was the data protection officer. We had to let him know we have a problem and we're going to solve it via XYZ. But he needed to be aware because he is actually personally accountable when we had data protection issues, personal data protection issues in my big tech company, okay? So as I'm telling you, in my project management experience, don't escalate is not the first answer. In some cases, I should escalate as a good practice. That's why I'm saying this PMP mindset of the 6 things that you should get right in your exam. Where do you get these mock tests? I got mine from PMI because my company paid for it. It costs round about $100. And these can be either cheap or expensive depending where you are in the world, honestly, and where your income coming from. In Brazil, I would say it's fairly expensive. It's around 600 reais. That's like half the minimum wage. So it's very expensive. I did combine a few free solutions, websites that I put here in the description that you can check it out. I did 1 round of mock in one of these websites and I thought it was fairly good. It actually told me why I got some questions wrong, and I think this can be really useful for you if you don't want to spend any money on a mock test from PMI. Now I showed you all these things and I just explained how I prepped for the exam. How did the exam day go about? I scheduled my exam to be done on premise. Usually I'm a big online test taker. I took my TOEFL online. I took my UNPAD. That's a business administration certification that we have online. But then for the PMP, I saw so many people online saying, oh, you actually should go on premise because the proctors, who are the people who are actually watching you doing the exam, they can just cancel your exam if there's like a loud noise or something. So since I had an exam center close to my house, I actually went and did it on the exam center in Porto Alegre, south of Brazil. That's where I did my exam. I chose to do my exam in English. That's because I work in English and all my project management knowledge is more or less in English. That being said, see this comparison here. These are two words for the same thing, which is starting your project. And as you can see in Portuguese and English, it looks very different. And that's why I chose to do the exam in English, because honestly, I don't have the vocabulary in Portuguese in my job. That's weird, but it happens when you work in global organizations. That being said, choose the language that you feel more comfortable on taking the exam. I try to arrive 30 minutes early to the exam. That's because they need to do a few things before you do the exam. I had to sign a contract and they had to take a photo of me, and also they took my ID, my government ID card. The only thing that I had to bring to the exam was my government ID card, the pen to make notes, and also like this erasable thing they had in the exam center. And the exam was actually done in a computer, which is really tiring for my eyes. But yeah, the exam was done in a computer. All the 180 questions for more or less 5 hours with 2 10-minute breaks. It's very tiring. One thing that I think was essential as well, because this is such a long exam, was the time that I chose to do it. I chose to do it from 3 p.m. in the afternoon. I think that was the perfect time because it's not too early. It does not cross through your lunch break. It's just in the big afternoon chunk. In the middle of the exam, I was hungry, so I did bring with me some energy bars. And also, something helped me a lot. I had 2 Red Bulls with me, so 2 energy drinks. And I drank one before starting the exam, and I drank the other one while I was in the breaks of the exam. That was really important because after so many hours and so many questions, your brain can be a little foggy. At the end of the exam, I even put in the opinion session, so you can actually rate the exam and what was your opinion on the experience of taking the exam. I feel like this is more a test of resilience than it is a test of my project management skills. But yeah, at the end of the 5 hours, I had done my exam and I did lose a lot of hair while doing it. But it was a fun experience. So in my exam, since it was on premise, the proctor was there with me. And she was just looking to see if myself and, of course, the other guy that was with me taking the exam were not cheating or something of sorts. You cannot enter with your phone or with your digital watch like I have or anything in the exam, only your body and your knowledge, so you can do the exam. Also, you cannot access your devices during the breaks. There are cameras. Don't access your devices during the breaks, okay? Let your family know where you'll be at so they won't be calling you. That's important. And then as soon as I finished the exam, I actually used all the time that I had to do the exam. You have, according to the PMI, 230 minutes to do the exam. There's this little clock on the exam screen. That's around 3 hours and 50 minutes. As I said, there were the 2 10-minute breaks, and I had to arrive 30 minutes earlier for them to take my ID, and so I could sign the sheet and everything. And these accumulated more or less 5 hours. Other thing that's important that I think you should know if you're doing the exam on the screen, right? Because it was an online exam in a physical center. When I enter, guys, I wear glasses and my vision is not very good. So even with glasses, I usually have my phone and my computer with the letter a little bigger. You can make the letters and the words bigger in your exam screen, so do that. Also, another thing that I did was that I was touching the actual display to reduce the overall brightness, and I put it on night mode because the exam room was very dark, and then you have this bright white light in your face and you need to sit there for almost 4 hours in a row. That's enough to tire anybody's eyes. So yeah, put the display in like a slightly less bright mode or maybe even night mode. That will be a little tip that I could give to you. And then as soon as my exam ended, I had to wait around a few minutes and they gave me this paper. And basically this is not the certification, okay? This is just a paper saying, we are pleased to inform you that based on the preliminary assessment of your recent examination results, you have successfully passed the examination. Congratulations on this achievement. And then after, the guy that was there with me in the exam told me that I would receive via email the certification, and I did receive the online certification. Then I went in my company and I printed it out in this nice thick paper so I can put in the frame that I have in the wall. And I'm really proud that I passed the exam. I want to give you a few final reflections after going through this very stressful and built on anxiety experience of doing the PMP exam. Was it worth it? Totally. People in my LinkedIn went crazy. Not only for that, but now I honestly feel more confident to apply to other positions. And then I have the certification, this piece of paper that proves to the employers that I actually am a good project manager. Some reflections that I want to give to you. In some videos that you watch online, people are like, I passed the exam with a highest achievement. Basically, you will see here on the screen, I'm sharing with you my exam screen that you can access on pmi.org after you do the exam. If you actually get a score of, I don't know, above 90% or something, I have no idea, they don't give you numbers. You get like this, oh, you passed your exam with a higher achievement. Guys, these people got the same certification that I got. I only passed on target, not above target. And I got the same certification. So don't worry, you don't need to get 100%. According to Google, you only need to have a little bit over 60%. Looking here at my measures, I think I got round about 70 or 80%. And that was enough for me to pass the exam, okay? So don't worry, just do your best, and I hope it's going to be enough for you to get above 60. Don't get sad if you didn't go above target. Honestly, nobody cares. And then some reflections that I want to give to you guys. First is visualize it. Visualize it that you already have the exam, that you actually did it and you have it with you. I did so much visualization before doing this exam. I put in my computer, I am PMP certified. Also, I have a wall of degrees here that you probably cannot see, but I took a frame. Let me show you. So I actually bought a lot of these frames for my certification. So I have like my bachelor's, my MBA. Then I had this empty frame, and this is written in Portuguese, but what's written here is I certify to Gloria Sandi, that's my name, the project management professional certification. And I even put a little PMI here. So basically later today, I'm going to actually put the true certification on it. Do you know the power of this? This is powerful, guys. Do visualize that you will be able to achieve your PMP exam. The other reflection that I want to give to you is please shield yourself from the negativity. Honestly, it's so easy for people to just say, maybe you won't be able to do it. Or even the passive negativity, right? Oh, like, don't worry if you don't pass on your first trial. Guys, I'm telling you, I'm giving you the positivity. You will pass on your first trial. I'm giving you the Gloria mojo, okay? So you pass on your first trial. And a lot of people even told me, like in the company, oh, well, you see, most people don't pass on the first try. While I didn't find online any data to back this up, I did find an average on Google that half of the people who do this exam pass on their first try. So it's not that most people don't pass. It was actually 50 to 60% actually pass on the first try. And that would be a majority of people passing on the first try. So you can be part of this majority of people who pass on the first try, and you will be able to get your PMP exam, okay? The last reflection that I want to give, whenever you're studying for this exam or you're preparing for anything else in your life, a job interview, a test, if you're applying for a PhD or whatever you're doing, be mindful of the people who are around you. I ask you, please, to be very mindful and have your surroundings filled with people that love you and that believe in you and that believe in your vision. Even if they don't understand your vision, that they believe you and they give you a very positive energy for you to go and conquer your goals. I'm telling you that for me, that's my boyfriend. He was telling me from the beginning that don't worry, you're going to pass the exam. And also my parents who were there to support me as well. And my boyfriend is by far my biggest cheerleader. He was the one that would remind me, hey, you told you were going to study. How's your studies? How's your preparation? He was actually the one who told me to focus on actually doing the mock test, because I was so scared of doing the mock test and being a complete failure. Then I would need to study so much more and didn't have enough time. But then actually after doing the mock test and having, without any study, already 50% right, I was like, well, now I only need to work the other 10% that I did in the way that I showed you guys in the video to get the exam. And that was it. I honestly wanted to record this video because I was inspired by the YouTubers that I watched that helped me prepare to this exam. And I wanted to give you my perspective on how I did pass the exam. I hope that if you are taking the exam, that you will pass in your first attempt, that you will be calm, and you'll have a very chill exam, and at the end, you're going to receive that you have passed. I'm giving you all my positive energy. And in case you have any questions, please leave it in the comments, and I'll make sure to answer you as soon as I can, okay? That's it for the video.